Right guys, it is quite a busy day in the Championship today. We've just had the fixtures released, which makes this next season feel that little bit closer. Absolutely buzzing to get into this next season. It's going to be Wigan away for Preston's first game of the season one, which I'm really looking forward to, obviously with them being back in the Championship. But let me know down below your instant reaction to the fixtures that did get put out today. But we are of course here to digest some more transfer news. We've had several big deals go through in the past few days, all of which will be discussed in today's video, and we also have a bucket full of transfer rumours to go over as well. So as always, do leave a like if you do go on to enjoy and get your thoughts in the comments down below. Without any further ado though, let's jump into this one. So we'll start out with the Rotherham news, because two massive departures from that dressing room this summer, with Michael Heckway and Michael Smith both completing moves to local rival Sheffield Wednesday. Both players had their contracts running out at the end of the season. Rotherham tried to tie them down to new deals, but instead the players were tempted with the move over to Sheffield Wednesday. It is a big blow for Rotherham. If we look at minutes played last season within that Rotherham squad, no player played more minutes for Rotherham during their promotion season than Michael Smith did, and the Heckway was their third most used player last season. So we spoke about Rotherham a couple of videos ago and the challenge that they'd face to compete coming into next season. You know, the challenge for Rotherham was to keep hold of this group and then go ahead and add on top of it. They've lost two big characters here who they'll need to replace and then go ahead and add on top of that. Smith, I do think was a fairly useful striker, to be honest. Last time Rotherham were in the Championship, he did hit double figures, scoring 10 goals. He scored 19 last season, got 6 assists as well, and the Heckway has been an important leader in that dressing room over the years as well. So no doubt this massively strengthens Sheffield Wednesday going into next season. Two players who know what it takes to get out of League One. But for Rotherham, yeah, it leaves them in a little bit of a tricky situation here, and how they go about replacing these two players. My side, Preston North End, completed the deal for Freddie Woodman on a 3-year deal, which I'm really impressed by. I had the thought process originally that this one would be on a loan deal with the view to make it permanent, but Freddie Woodman signing a 3-year contract I think is good news for Preston. We've of course been bouncing around with different goalkeepers recently on sort of loan moves, short-term deals and things like that, but to have a young established goalkeeper at Championship level in Freddie Woodman tied down to a permanent contract, I think is good news for Preston, and will now be looking to target other areas of the pitch. Big news here from West Brom as well, who have managed to tempt Jed Wallace away from Millwall. It's a massive blow for Millwall, but what again this is for West Brom, who have arguably snapped up the two most valuable free agents in this Championship market in both John Swift and Jed Wallace. Two of the most creative players from the Championship last season, and Wallace adds a new dynamic to their game, particularly considering they've got Daryl DK to come back into the frame next season as well, and suddenly the complexion is looking a little bit different at West Brom. Wallace seemingly did have offers elsewhere. There was of course interest from Burnley, a few other Championship clubs, and at times we've heard of a few rumblings from the Premier League as well, but West Brom getting that deal over the line is massive news for them. Luton completed the deal for goalkeeper Matt Macy. He's returning to Kenilworth Road. We had previously spoken about this one on a video in the last week or so, but this one has since been confirmed, as has Stoke's deal for Josh Laurent. What a signing this could turn out to be. Laurent and Lewis Baker as a midfield pair. I think those two could balance and bounce off each other quite well actually. Midfield has been a little bit of a problem position for Stoke over these last few years, but Laurent's always been a player who I've held in quite high esteem, and it's quite the blow that Reading are losing him now. In terms of an incoming at Reading though, they have completed the deal for winger Tom Ince. He's of course joining up with his dad, who is the manager there. We thought that this transfer would probably be on the cards. He did fairly well at Reading, to be fair, in the second half of last season, and from his and the club's perspective it probably makes sense. Coventry have completed the deal for Casey Palmer. This is a move that really needs to work out for Palmer, to be honest, because from his time at Bristol City there have been glimpses of a top Championship player, but those glimpses have just been a little bit few and far between, albeit he wasn't given all too many opportunities last season. You'd think that with Coventry's play style it could be a decent fit there for both club and player, but consistency is the main issue here probably. Middlesbrough completed the deal for Liam Roberts. We saw this one on the cards for quite some time now, and I'm sure they'll look to pursue other targets in this area next. And we've seen Middlesbrough complete a season-long loan deal for Wolves' Ryan Giles. Massively versatile, can play pretty much anywhere across that left-hand side. We saw him be particularly prolific with his assists at Cardiff. Also had a loan spell at Blackburn last season as well, but he's absolutely rapid, can get up and down that left-hand side, and for me, one of the best crosses in the Championship. I think that Middlesbrough have got a great deal with this one on a season-long loan. They just need to now go ahead and get some strikers over the line so we can ping some balls into them. Luton finalised the deal for Barnsley forward Cauley Woodrow. I quite like this one, to be honest. Obviously, Woodrow came up through the Luton Youth Academy. We did speak about this one in a little bit more detail in last time's video, but it has since been confirmed. Fairly versatile as well, happy to play as a number 9 or a number 10, and I think will be a decent fit into this Luton setup under Nathan Jones. And we saw Watford forward Cucho Hernandez completing a move over to the MLS and to Columbus Crew, reportedly for a fee of around about $10 million. Now, it's a shame really, because I would have loved to see a player like Hernandez for Watford in the Championship next season, but this move was probably always likely. I didn't see him going to the MLS, but a move away from Watford. Watford have still got a few more of their sort of higher profile big earners to move on, but this is probably the start of the dominoes falling and Watford starting their proper recruitment and bringing some new faces in as well. But there we have it, guys. Those are the completed deals which have gone through in the Championship over the past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump over into the transfer rumours. We'll start out with a little bit of Millwall news, because they've declared an interest for Hull City midfielder George Honeyman. Now, it's quite the exciting time at Hull at this point in time, where there's going to be a lot of moving parts with both players coming in and players leaving, and Honeyman's future is somewhat up in the air at this point in time. I believe Hull offered him an initial contract extension which was turned down, and they're still in negotiations for another one. He has still got another year left to run on his deal at Hull City, but if he is sort of, you know, debating whether to sign or not, then obviously some of the Championship clubs will come in circling for him. It's no surprise to see Millwall after some creative options after the loss of Jed Wallace, and Honeyman was a good player for that Hull side last season. 5 goals, 4 assists, can definitely cut it at this level, 27 years old as well. From Hull's perspective, you'd imagine they'd be keen to keep hold of him, although with the players they're currently being linked to, we're really not sure at the moment what their squad could potentially be lining up like heading into next season. So a few spinning plates with this one. It will be a good signing for Millwall, albeit we're not sure what his current contract situation could be with the club and whether he's likely to sign in the next few weeks. Millwall are in talks with Sheffield United for a permanent deal for Ollie Burke, who was on loan there last season. 10 starts, 4 appearances off the bench, scored 2 goals and got 1 assist in that time. Fairly versatile in the positions that he can keep up, and at this point in time, Millwall just need bodies in this area really. They're looking quite light at the top end of the pitch. Reportedly so, Watford have held initial discussions over a deal for Swansea striker Joel Piroe. Now, if you were watching the channel last season, you'll know how highly I actually rated Joel Piroe from his debut season in the Championship with Swansea. 22 goals, 6 assists, fairly versatile. He's happy to play as a natural number 9 or drop in a little bit deeper into that number 10 role, and that's where we saw him in the second half of the season for Swansea. Quite a ruthless finisher really, with the array of goals he scored from last season. You know, he's happy to slot one into the bottom corner from quite an unlikely angle, good going off both feet as well, and has showed that he can also link up the play. So from Watford's perspective, this one would be an absolutely fantastic deal, but as Swansea have shown, they're not really a club to get ripped off over deals when they are the selling club. They do tend to get a decent price for those players, and Joel Piroe, 22 years old, only signed last year, you'd imagine would be along a similar vein, that they would be looking for quite the sizable transfer fee. Now, I can't admit to know everything about their next striker target, but reportedly so, they have already agreed terms with Vakun Bayo, who will be coming over from Genk in Belgium. Coming off the back of a decent loan spell last season where he scored 11 goals in 15 starts, reportedly so, this deal could be worth upwards of around about £2.5 million in total. We mentioned it on the previous transfer rumour roundup video that Watford are looking quite light in this position at the moment when they were linked with Benicophobe, and it seems like this deal will get over the line. We spoke about Dwight McNeil last time and the potential departure from Burnley. Well, the latest player to be linked with the move away from Burnley has been Nathan Collins, one player who I think Burnley should be looking to do absolutely everything they can to keep hold of him, and seemingly so they are keen to keep hold of the young defender, particularly with Tarkowski and me both moving on. Wolves are the latest Premier League club to be linked to the young centre-half though, and we've already seen plenty of other interest from Premier League teams. But it seems as if Burnley will be pursuing a deal for Arsenal defender Daniel Ballard. Now, in an ideal situation for Burnley going into next season, Collins and Ballard would be a really solid young partnership for the Championship. In another situation, maybe Ballard could turn out to be Collins' replacement, but in an ideal situation, I think that those two would bounce off each other perfectly. Really good loan spell last season in the Championship with Millwall, fantastic at Blackpool in the season before that as well. Good young defender who's already got plenty of minutes in the EFL under his belt. I think this one will be a brilliant deal for Burnley, I have to admit. And Nick Pope is set for his departure from Burnley as well, with Newcastle set to wrap up a deal for reportedly around about £10 million. I don't think that's as much as Burnley fans probably would have been hopeful for to get from Nick Pope, but he was one of those saleable assets who I think we all knew was going to leave the club this summer in that pursuit of Premier League football. I think Newcastle are getting a really good deal with this one, and obviously from Burnley's perspective it's a little bit more money towards next season. Hull City are looking to pursue a deal for former Nottingham Forest defender Tobias Figueiredo, obviously a defender who knows the Championship from the last few years at Forest, has just been released by the club as well, so would be on a free transfer. I think would be a nice addition into that Hull back line, if I'm being honest. This one's quite an interesting one because Preston North End have been linked with a move for Bristol City forward Nahki Wells, who's been a little bit of a forgotten man at Bristol City really. Obviously their front three was absolutely prolific last season, and Wells had to play as the supporting act to that front three really. 25 of his appearances last season were from off the bench. He just chipped in with 3 goals, but his game time was quite limited really compared to the minutes he'd played in previous seasons. 10 goals the season before that. I don't think this move has quite worked out. Nahki Wells to Bristol City, given the money they paid for him, exactly how Bristol City fans would have been hopeful for, but I'm interested to know where Bristol City fans currently stand on the player really, whether they'd be happy for him to move on or they do still want him in and amongst the squad. From Preston North End's perspective, undoubtedly we are in the market for a striker, and seemingly so a proven striker at Championship level, with links to both Nahki Wells and Andre Gray recently. If I was to hazard a guess, I'd say that we wouldn't be doing deals for both of them. It would be a case of one or the other. You'd imagine that a deal for Gray would be a little bit easier to wrap up, but I know that he's got interest from other Championship clubs as well, with him being a free agent at the moment. And it's looking like Reading are going to be quite hard pressed to keep hold of midfielder Andy Rinomhota. He's yet to sign a new deal with Reading and has been offered other contracts by QPR, Stoke, Cardiff and Bristol City reportedly, who are all interested in the midfielder. Obviously losing Josh Laurent was one thing, but Rinomhota as well would be an absolutely devastating blow for Reading heading into next season. And we'll finish off with a bit of Ben Davies news, because reportedly Middlesbrough are interested in the Liverpool defender who spent last season out on loan at Sheffield United. I thought had some good moments for Sheffield United, albeit was a little bit in and out of that side with some injury problems that he had, but as a North End fan, you know, I'm always going to talk up Ben Davies, one of the coolest defenders on the ball in the Championship, left-footed as well. I think would be a perfect fit into Wilder's Borough team on the left-hand side of that defence. Can ping a pass and is more than comfortable bringing the ball out of defence as well. Celtic are also interested in him. But guys, there we have it. Those are the transfer rumours going around the Championship at this point in time. Any other deals that we didn't mention in today's video, get them in the comments down below. Apart from that though guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular content. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.